I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Everybody, and welcome back to the Josh and Reece podcast about Reece, because that's how we do it over here. Oh no, here he is. Better late than never. Reece has arrived. Anyway, hello everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in to your Monday night football podcast here on the Josh YouTube channel. Obviously, it's practically the World Football Podcast. We just call it a different name because it's on a different channel, but we've still got the free and amazing people to talk about all sorts of things football related. And actually, for once, none of us can actually have a rant, which I don't know if that's still good for collection of. But anyway, we've got Nathan. Nathan is recovering from a bit of a bug. Nathan, are you feeling better?
Yeah, still a little bit ill, thanks, Josh, but that's going to take ages to go away, to be honest. And to be honest, today's been a good day. Our new youth academy's been approved for Cardiff City. Just needs the new training ground to be approved, and then all is sailing nicely. Not sure where they're getting the money from, to be honest. My Aiden Flint signed shirts just come as well. Thing of beauty. But then I want to shove my head in the dishwasher after listening to Mark Drakeford's concert. Thanks for having me on.
It's a very big priority. So below Nathan, we've got George Kyle, Mr. Detail, he's our analyst. He's the man who reads everything to detail. He's got lots to talk about today about a particular UEFA group and Manchester United. George, comment. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Josh. As always, really looking forward to getting into things, and can't wait to get started.
And then the man, he's always late, but he's officially here. The man who apparently likes to change t-shirts while he's in the StreamYard. It's not the first time he's done this on my show.
No, I took my hoodie off. There's a difference.
And it is Reece. Reece, I believe you had a day off work today, so I'm assuming you've had a nice, chilled, ready to relax day, ready for a good football.
This is my fourth stream of the day. I've literally just came off a stream. That's why I'm late. So.
See, he always does this. He always picks all the streams over mine, man. You know what?
I got invited on your stream because our channel I've not been on in a while. So,
right. Anyway, I'm
a busy bloke, even on days off. Stop getting so testy.
Let's get started. So let's start with the Premier League. No, there wasn't any results in the Premier League this weekend that were surprising, but there's still some topics we definitely need to touch upon. The first one, let's start off at the Etihad, where generally it was controversial. City at the Etihad, where Manchester City may or may not have got a bit lucky against the Wolves side, but 1-0 victory. I'm going to start off with you, Nathan. I'm going to ask you a very simple question, all right? Because everyone knows that Wolves deserve to get a point out of this game. But how do you look at that? How does a qualified official who's on thousands a week look at that and go, "That's a handball"? How do you see that as a handball?
I don't at all. These referees, we highlight it every single week. And to be honest, I think I could have counted about 2, 3, 4 decisions maybe, which they got it wrong. It's not just one official. It's all of them. They get it wrong every week. That is not a handball. When you lift your arm up to sort of like chest it away, that is an unnatural position. In fact, it's not even your hand, it's your armpit. You could even say it's a chest. Like, how? These referees are so dumb. Like, I'm honestly lost for words now. It's at this point we might as well just expect it, all these shocking decisions to happen. But yeah, looking at the performance, completely agree. Wolves should have got at least something out of that game. Both teams sort of lacked that end product, of course, but yeah, it was Man City in the end just getting a lucky penalty and getting through over the line. I was absolutely gutted for us, and I never thought I'd say that as a Cardiff fan.
George, obviously, you're talking about the penalty, so I'll have to ask you. Okay, Raheem in the second yellow card was stupid. I don't know what he was thinking. He clearly thought he lost his head. It was stupid. But the first yellow card, how the hell is that a yellow in modern day football?
Ridiculous.
Is the game truly well gone where he tapped him on the shoulder, Rodri fell down, and that's a yellow card?
Yeah, I think John Moss was another one that had received a nice briefcase full of cash just before the match as well. I mean, ultimately, yeah, some shocking decisions, as you said. That it definitely wasn't a yellow, and then Jimenez just a moment. I think, unfortunately, it does happen to every player. Really, they do. Every player has those moments of madness. It's been very, very costly for Wolves at this juncture, and obviously it looks even worse, of course, because it's one after the other. It's just, it looks even more silly or foolish to have done it. And yeah, and unfortunately, obviously, the second yellow is a yellow because at that point there's no choice for John Moss. But yeah, and obviously Nathan's already gone over the penalty, which was one of the worst decisions I've seen for a long. Well, actually, that's not true. it's one of many terrible decisions I see weekly. It's one of many terrible decisions I see weekly, and I'm shocked really that John Moss. There are obviously many referees that should have retired or been got rid of, and John Moss is definitely high among that list. For many years, he's been seen as a terrible referee who's been failing in his duties, and I've still got no idea how he somehow managed to keep coming back every single season. But yeah, I mean, Wolves obviously did deserve a point, and again, it's just one of those decisions that seems to have few decisions that seem to have helped them to win, and ultimately kept Man City at the top of the table.
Reece, I'll come to you. I know, in terms of the way Wolves play, it's very much the type of style you like to watch. They went to the Etihad. The game plan was perfect. They held City to pretty much no chances really. It's not the first time this season where Wolves have been screwed over by an extremely dodgy refereeing decision. If you're Bruno Lage, you probably think that the referees have an agenda against you.
Probably. I'm just going to take the words of a wise man when it comes to the referee decisions. I'm just going to go with this.
If I speak in big trouble,
if I do speak, I'll get in big trouble. So I don't want to get in trouble. But to be fair, I don't give a fuck. English referees.
There we go.
Wankers. Sack them all. Fuck them off to the job centre. They're the worst officials in football. I am sick of saying this every single fucking week about how shite these officials are. Either the FA gets proper officials in, or you send the wankers to Germany, get them retrained, and get them to come back and do their job properly. I think they've got no balls. I actually think every single English official lost their manhood at some stage. It's probably officiating a game. I'm guessing it was involving a big team where they couldn't enforce a decision. Pussies. They're the worst officials in football. Scottish referees don't need VAR for a reason because they actually know how to do their job. English officials need VAR for everything. No wonder they don't get to go to European games because they suck. Fuck them off, a lot of them.
Just to your point, Paul, it's not the fact it was a foul, it was the fact it was a yellow card for that foul. It's not so much the foul was given because you see it all the time where like tiny nudges and tiny pushes were given, especially in that area of the pitch. But the fact it was a yellow bloody card when it wasn't reckless, it wasn't, it wasn't done on purpose to harm the opponent. It wasn't, when they were on a serious counter attack. It was just,
it's baffling how every single week they're getting these decisions wrong. Like, I know I wear glasses, but at least I can actually see a decision being made. I don't have 20/20 vision, but I wouldn't make a single mistake.
I think the biggest insult for this as well is that for the last 5 years, they have literally have a show on Sky Sports News called Ref Watch for half an hour.
It should be called
That's a
Crime Watch Part
disgrace.
2.
Exactly.
Like they are all pretty much on Crime Watch. Like it's the worst thing as well is it's simple mistakes, and it's like we highlight like European referees very rarely make a mistake, but when they make a mistake, you actually see it being highlighted and they actually deal with it. But is it because they're English? Like seriously, like come on, like this is beyond a joke. This is, as Nathan said, I don't know how many times I've said over the past since we've been doing this broadcast, like of this show. We've been doing this show for well over a year and a half. It'll be 2 years, and it'll be 2 years next year, something like that, I think. But every single fucking week, I am talking about a poor referee decision. We may as well just have a point, like a simple topic called worst refs, and we'll just name them all top to bottom. And I guarantee they're all English because they're all shit.
I know the top of the list for that one for me.
In terms
they don't know what they're doing.
In terms of Wolves, they sit ninth in the league. They've won 6 games. They've drew 3. They've lost 7. They're 3 games. They were 3 games unbeaten. They've lost their last 2 now. Let's just look at their recent results here. All right. So they bet Everton 2-1, and then they lost the past 2-0. Lost to Wolves 1-0, drew at Norwich 0 each, drew at Burnley 0 each, lost to Liverpool 1-0, lost to City 1-0. I think we could all see that Wolves have a goal scoring issue, don't we? I think that's where Wolves had a clinical strike force, they would be a really difficult team.
I think it highlights how bad Jimenez is now. That injury has really affected him.
Well, that is very true. But I also have to ask, does anybody here rate Adam Traore, or do you think he's just a pace merchant? He's a clinical FIFA player, right? He's got all the pace, but nothing else on it.
He's just a B-Tech Dan James for me.
I like that. No. Dan James is a B-Tech Traore.
No.
Because Traore has something that Daniel James wants. He's got muscles.
It's true, actually.
I quite like Traore.
Shit. I don't know how.
But then again,
if you rate Traore, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
George,
there's something wrong with you.
George, go ahead. We'll give you the floor. Go.
No, I quite like him. He's not necessarily a player that any top team would want because ultimately he's got no end product. But he is quite an entertaining player to watch. Just simply because he does catch the eye when he starts going, and he does draw people to him. He's a very interesting player, and like I said, it's quite exciting because you never quite know what's going to happen with him. It's very similar actually to Dan James because they have that similar sort of they have that similar sort of maverick factor where you have absolutely no idea what's going to happen or how it's going to end up.
Traore's better off in like that. The best place for Traore, right, is either Dancing on Ice or Strictly Come Dancing because he likes to wear the baby oil. Let him go slip and slide. Let him do a cha-cha or let him do a jive or let him go and dance on ice and try a headbanger with that baby oil, and we'll see how far it goes when he slips someone to an early grave. Like Traore is. The annoying thing is he has pace. He's physical. He's very direct. The problem is he's got no football brain. He has no end product. He's built like a tank, but he attacks like a Ford car. Like he really is that shit. There's no other way to describe him. He's that shit. He would suit Josh's team. He would suit Chelsea. They need somebody with a bit of muscle because all they've got is a bunch of weak players. Lukaku Kardashian up front. This is an example.
Is George in a Tesco photo booth curl again? Let's move on to Anfield. Obviously, Steven Gerrard's return to Anfield resulted in a 1-0 loss. Reece, I'll come to you first because obviously you've watched Steven Gerrard. You've talked. Steven Gerrard Aston Villa played very similar to what his Rangers side did, where
Mhm.
they were very defensive. They were putting their bodies on the line, good shape off the ball. But the big issue here was that I think Liverpool's midfield and Henderson Fabinho completely stopped any counter-attacking abilities that Aston Villa had. Liverpool deserved to win, in fairness, but it does show that Steven Gerrard tactically can be up for these bigger games.
Potentially, but what I will say is just like a game will be coming on very later on involving Chelsea and Leeds, and we've just spoken about Man City and Wolves. Aston Villa got robbed in that game. That game they were robbed.
You think it was a penalty?
No,
Well,
it's not a penalty.
No
Not
way
in a
was that a
million
penalty.
years.
No way was that a penalty. No way was that a penalty. And to be fair, you'll hear the exact same opinion when I talk about Man United Norwich. Like, no way in hell was that a penalty. No way was that a penalty. Villa got robbed. And it sums up like what the FA are doing. Live, breathe, suck up Liverpool's arse. Live, breathe, suck up Liverpool's arse. That's the FA for you.
The one thing I will say, though, is Mo Salah has done that so many times so what he does is when he gets into the penalty box, is he sort of backs into the player that is sort of jockeying him. He backs into them with the ball, and then he'll just do a slide on them. And
we all remember the City game.
Pushed down. Yeah, exactly. And also he's done it to us as well. I remember in that match, and that was stupid, but it's the same one each time where he does this special dive, but there's no contact been made at all, yet they still keep giving it a penalty all the time. There's something wrong there for me.
He's lucky it wasn't Burnley, because Sean Dyche, who absolutely hates diving, doesn't matter if it's his own team or the opposition. If that was Sean Dyche, Mo Salah would be leaving on a stretcher.
George, do you think Stevie G's Aston Villa should have left with a point?
I think they were obviously Liverpool were very lucky to obviously get it where they go away with the win. But ultimately, that's what tends to happen. Obviously, for the big teams, they do tend to get a lot of these sort of decisions. I mean, ultimately for me, I did think it was a penalty. I think Mings is one of those players again. I was so glad when obviously Maguire came back for him when we had to use him in the fucking Euros because Mings is just so clumsy and careless. I have absolutely zero idea. It was just the most stupid fucking sport. It's the most stupid bloody challenge again. Now, Mings is one of those players that I've never rated, and I have absolutely zero idea why Southgate keeps on using him in his squad, because he's absolutely terrible, so clumsy, and yet again just fucking reckless. Obviously Salah was playing for it, but at the same time Mings is so fucking idiotic that yet again he's fucking been sold for it. It's unbelievable. So yeah, obviously Liverpool get the goal. And the only other thing I would say, obviously, about this match, because there wasn't, too much to sort of say about it, but yet again, Jota. No match is complete. No match is complete without Jota somehow missing a fucking open goal or something, or some terribly easy or simple chance again. Unbelievable. It's just beggars belief how he keeps getting picked. But that's
who Jota reminds me of. You know who Jota actually reminds me of. You remember the World Cup in 2010? Yakubu had was Yakubu Obafemi Martins. I couldn't remember. It was the Nigeria game. He had the easiest chance. They would have went through. Here's the goal right in front of him. Ball. And it's literally out. Jota has the football brain of that. He really sucks. I think Liverpool were deceived. If you want to sign a player from Wolves, if you want to sign an attacking player, it's Pedro Neto or it's Podence. Not Diogo Jota. Yeah, he might turn things around and he might make George eat his words. Highly doubt it. But fuck me, he is shit. I mean, we were all taking the piss out of fucking Divock Origi. At least Origi knows how to score goals. Which is quite embarrassing, really.
Let's move on to a game that was probably the game of the week. You said it wasn't much great football this weekend. So it's obviously Stamford Bridge, Chelsea 3, Leeds United 2.
Lucky.
Chelsea with a last minute penalty by Jorginho to pick up the 3 points. George,
that was never a penalty.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you. So we'll start off with George. I said my predictions for free that I expected Chelsea to really struggle. They really did struggle. Leeds exposed them time and time again to counter attack. Marcus Alonso's not a footballer. Do not care what you say. Whatever he was actually thinking on that slide challenge for the first goal, I question. I really do question it. He did anyway. I think it's safe to say Chelsea got incredibly lucky to have Stamford Bridge for all 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, obviously Dan James, with his pace, managed to draw in Alonso like a sort of moth to a flame, and obviously again, I think James was sort of bleeding as well from the leg because of how terrible the challenge was. Just atrocious decision making, and obviously the weekend really was dominated by lots of these terrible, thick decisions by defenders. Obviously, again, they went ahead and Alonso slightly made up for his error, but obviously with the equaliser, quite a smart finish from Mount as well. But then again, obviously with the issue with Leeds, and I actually did think that both of your ones, Josh, were penalties as well. I don't know, I can't remember which two players it was, or even it was the same player on Rudiger. But was it? I can't remember which players it was. That was the first one, Rafinha, wasn't it? Who for some unknown reason threw him again. It's Rudiger. It's not Messi or Ronaldo. There's no need to throw yourself in that position, and it's just madness again. And then I think it was Ayling, wasn't it, on the second one? Just kicking through the back of him for no reason again. It's just unbelievable. And again, there was no danger. It's just utter stupidity. And again, Chelsea have got lucky. And obviously you do need luck in certain times if you're going to win the title, if you've got aspirations of doing so. But it was just luck after luck again. And like I said, again, Leeds, Bielsa, obviously, there's so many of these, there's loads of other examples as well with Everton as well, which we'll get onto at some point with how many thick individuals they've got in their team. But it's exactly the same with Leeds. I've just gotten just mindless morons.
This is the shock factor of Leeds. It's just like we expected them to actually push on, and what they've done is they're worse than Sheffield United. I abused them heavy last year. I abused Sheffield United heavy last year. I owe Sheffield United an apology. Fuck me.
If I'm not mistaken, the first Chelsea goal came from Leeds trying to play from the back, completely mucking it up. Chelsea get the ball, Mason Mount had pretty much an open net because Meslier was out of position. The second goal was an absolute shocking penalty on Rudiger, which the Leeds defender lost his mind. And then the third one, as George is related to, he decides to kick him in the back of the leg, thinking it was a smart idea with VAR. And can we just say, the second penalty wasn't originally given by the referee. He had to go to VAR for the most obvious penalty in the world, but then he got the last penalty, which was less obvious. I know we just
the last one for me wasn't a penalty.
He kicked him in the back of the leg. It's a clear contact. I'll kick
you in the front of the leg, and we'll see if that's a penalty given. It wouldn't be given. Like I just look at referees and like they've got like no authority now. It's so funny. Like VAR's clear and obvious errors, but see some of them is absolute bollocks. Like the first one, that was a penalty. Second one, no. You were lucky to escape with 3 points. You were very lucky. You're very lucky.
Yeah, I completely agree with Reece, but honestly, that Leeds team, like, I always like going forward. They are okay, and they would be up there. It's just that defense. It's just, I mean, we covered it so much, but even in a way, the midfield's letting them down as well. But it's like some of the other teams in the league. You have the one or two players. Rafinha is definitely. They're just carrying that team. And
I hope he gets out of that club. I hope he gets out.
Yeah, same here. And honestly, if they lose the key players, Leeds are going to be finishing bottom on 0 points because that team cannot defend in the Premier League.
I think if you look at that team, the players that they cannot afford to lose, Phillips in midfield.
Yeah.
I think in overtime, Meslier in goal.
Absolutely.
I think overtime. And the other one is Patrick Bamford. Obviously,
once he can afford to lose him.
Once he gets his head out of his tin, he might actually develop into a good striker. But at the minute, he's playing like a tub of spam. Like he's just not. He's just not.
He's playing good. Like he did in the Championship.
Yeah,
I don't know how he did it last year. Honestly,
I think you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Jamie Vardy.
Yeah,
like Jamie Vardy in his first season in the Premier League was woeful. Numbers wise, shocking. Second season, he hit 20 plus in the league when they won the title, and then after that, his numbers dipped. Patrick Bamford is the younger version of Jamie Vardy, except Jamie Vardy's a much better player.
Yeah.
Patrick Bamford really needs to work on his game a lot more if Leeds actually want to survive. They brought in Rodrigo to challenge him. Rodrigo has literally brought him down a couple of levels. So well done, Spanish. Well done, the Spanish player. But if they lose Rafinha and Phillips, you can count ever getting back into the Premier League if they get relegated, because replacing those two is going to be virtually impossible.
Moving on, I'm going to keep it as short as simple. Burnley 0, West Ham 0. For anybody for Burnley to get relegated, say aye.
Hopefully.
George,
Freedom.
do you feel okay? You want to keep Burnley in the Premier League?
George loves a shithouse.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. That actually, I was thinking Burnley are that team, obviously, because again, they're one of those teams that you love playing against rivals for your position, because they're always somehow they always get these. Obviously, West Ham, sadly, because of again, we're not going to get into the early stage of the season. What happened there again? Because I'll go off on one, but sadly, obviously, West Ham have been reeled back in by Burnley again, doing what Burnley do, which is just make things difficult and just struggle to be broken down. And we're only now a point off West Ham. So a good job from Burnley. And again, obviously, Reece has sort of summed up. I do love a shithouse, so I quite like the fact that Burnley is still in the division.
So I was just talking about that game was utterly awful. We're not going to go into do what you do. Anyway, let's go to Carrow Road. Manchester United beat Norwich City 1-0. Now, Reece, I said in our prediction video that Norwich were going to make it tough for you. They were going to give you a game. You all laughed at me, and
I had to laugh at you, mate, to save face. I had to laugh.
And you only won 1-0. Realistically, Norwich should have got a point out of this game. Max Aarons let's be fair, he got scared like Ronaldo was jumping for a ball at a cross, which would scare any defender. And then David De Gea being David De Gea, what he's done all season long and saved Manchester United's backside. I think he was named man of the match by Sky Sports, if my memory's right.
It was literally a last minute decision. Like, they didn't know who to give man of the match to. It was either going to be Billy Gilmore or David De Gea, and then David De Gea made a save right at the end with his left hand. He went, nah, it's definitely going to be David De Gea man of the match.
So I said all along, I know Helly and Bluebirds Legends were laughing at me for saying that Norwich were going to give Manchester United a game, and I was anything but wrong. I actually got £15 from a bet on work because Man United didn't win by 2 clear goals. So, I still got my money anyway, so I'm not overly complaining.
You're still a tight arse for the fact that you only bet, if you lost that bet, you'd only give a £5 away. That's Chelsea fan economics.
That was his idea, but the only downside is that Reece ended up getting the points still for that prediction because I said it was going to be a draw. So.
Fuck you.
Nathan, before we go to the Manchester United, man, is it just me or did Solskjaer stone the dugget for that game, because that was not a Rob Randwick performance whatsoever?
No, it wasn't.
I'm gonna kill you if you say that again.
Well, it's gonna be a big transition period, to be honest. But yeah, it just goes to show really what the extent of the job that Rangnick has for me. It's gonna take time, and personally, yes, it was against Norwich, but the players just didn't. With whatever Rangnick said, the players just completely ignored it, and you could see that because just with the amount of egos in that dressing room. And personally, I think a January transfer window is going to scare the life of those Man United players, and they're going to have to start listening to him at some point. Otherwise, they're going to be all out of there. Rangnick is ruthless. And that Norwich performance, he's gonna really.
Did you watch his conference afterwards, like, on YouTube? Of that, did you see it?
Just missed it. No, what happened to it?
He was fucking livid, man.
Good.
He was proper livid. That's the difference between Rangnick and Solskjaer. It's not, next time we're gonna do better. Next time we're gonna win. No, it's a given. Sturgeon's a tight arse. I look at the performance, and he literally didn't mention, we didn't turn up today, lads. We'll do better next time. None of this apology bollocks. He's literally went. He literally went, poor performance. We lacked intensity. We lacked control. We didn't turn up. And he actually praised Norwich because he ain't stupid. He praised Norwich because Norwich were the better team on the day, by far the better team. We were lucky that a soft penalty was given. It was a very soft penalty on Ronaldo.
I don't think it was a soft penalty. To be fair, he pulled Ronaldo down. You know,
It
Ronaldo,
was soft, man. It was soft. Come
Ronaldo,
on.
Max
Ronaldo's the
Taylor's
GOAT, but come on, like I've
Mac-
torn
Mac-
apart into Mohamed Salah. I've actually got to keep it fair for a change.
But Max Taylor's got scared. There's a cross coming to the box. Ronaldo's in the 6-yard box, and the best headers off the ball can jump as high as anything. Max Taylor
It's still
simply got
soft.
scared. He got scared and pushed him down. It was simple as that. George, what did you make of the game?
It was soft.
Yeah, I think it was a penalty. Again, of sort of what you were saying, Josh. He did get scared. Obviously, Ronaldo's going to make the most of it anyway, but but he knew he wasn't going to in that leap. He knew he wasn't.
I'll take the penalty because it gives us
Yeah.
the 3 points and the clean sheet, but it was soft as hell.
And obviously, Ronaldo is the best header of the ball that's ever played the game. So yeah, obviously Aaron's again. I did have a very good game. Obviously, there was a moment in one part where he was sort of going around lots of players, and I think McTominay decided enough was enough and went through him. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, in terms of the sort of game, lots of terrible performances from Manchester United. McTominay and Fred, who were glowingly praised after Palace. I'm going to go in on quite a few players. They're just sort of first within the radar at the moment. Unfortunately, as we sort of spoke about there, they're just not good enough at passing, and they can't control the midfield. If obviously Gilmour was very good. Again, obviously seen him quite a few times, and he is a good
He's the best
player.
outfield player in the pitch by a mile. Billy Gilmour.
And again, obviously Fred and McTominay. I mean, we just need to get better in there. But again, obviously, just lack of cohesion. And again, midfield is the most important part of the pitch. You've got to win those battles in order to get control of the game. That's just a given. And then, of course, there are 2 players in particular who have been very, very poor for months. Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, who are both being diabolical. Obviously, both favourites under Ollie. Both favourites, obviously, under Carrick, and now both seem to be favourites under Rangnick. I think Ollie, obviously, I think Rangnick must be quite a nice man at the moment because he's sort of listened to Ollie for about an hour, and I can't remember how long it was he'd listened to him over the phone. But really, I said he should have, after about 2 seconds, wishing him all the best in his future, he should have just hung up on Ollie instead of listening to him about.
I think
all
the
these
only reason,
players.
I don't know if you agree, I think the only reason he's actually playing those 2 at the minute is because he's still only played 2 league games. He's only been in the job. It's not even been 2 weeks yet. I think he's just getting most of his squad and feeling in. I think as the games come in thick and fast, you're going to see ice cold decisions that the Germans are actually great at. I think you'll see it in the coming games.
There was, I think, obviously Reece is right. It is still early days, and that's obviously Nathan sort of alluded to it as well. That there is a big project that needs to happen. So no need to sort of hit the panic button too soon. But obviously, you can't necessarily. I think, as I said, I don't think anyone really, apart from De Gea, obviously had a good game, a really good game, I should say. And ultimately, when you've got so many players, I think those 4 in particular, when you've got so many players who, and in particular, all the way down the pitch, are just very, very poor. And Rashford, in particular, has been very woeful for a long time. He's just one of those players, I think, and obviously I always sort of talk about it, is that you want intelligent players in a team, and Ronaldo and Rashford, doesn't have that, unfortunately. I don't necessarily know whether that can be taught or not. Rashford is getting a lot older now. I think he's 24, isn't he? Something. I
think he's 25 very soon.
Yeah.
I'll check for you 1 second. Keep talking away. I'm just double checking for you. I'm just double checking.
But I think, obviously, in terms of the game, obviously, as you said, I think it was a penalty. We were quite lucky. But overall, I think the only sort of things I did disagree with Rangnick were on the subs. I think he sort of made the same sub as hoping for the same sort of result against that happened against Palace. Obviously, when Greenwood set up Fred for the winner. But again, I didn't necessarily agree with that because obviously Sancho, I thought, had shown some good spells, and I thought that Marcus Rashford was easily our worst player, and he sort of survived he survived unbelievably. And again, I thought Bruno should have gone off quite a lot sooner. There were just a few different things that I would have tweaked, but ultimately we got the result. And at the moment, I know obviously people will say, "Oh, well, you never said this under Ollie," but that was because we were years into the project and nothing had changed. But at the moment, it's actually more important to win than it is obviously just accrue the points at the moment while he's trying to implement the style.
I agree.
At the moment, so it's not about the play style as much at the moment, because like I said, it's only a week. That will come over the next few months or so. The difference was with Ollie was that we were winning ugly every single week, and that was after years and years of him not really implementing a style. So we take the 3 points and obviously move on. And yeah, I'll ultimately. Still got quite a few. Obviously, I'm not sure. Is the Brentford game now been postponed?
There's been. I'm keeping an eye on it. There's been no updates yet. But at the moment we're just waiting. All I'm getting from like United District is just updates on the academy game, because we're winning 2-0. I don't, as much as I like the academy team, I'm not interested right now. Like about that, I want to see about the game. There's been no confirmation yet. But if that's the case, then it'll be Brighton at the weekend, early kickoff against Brighton on Saturday.
Yeah, obviously not ideal really, because again, that's going to be a match that's going to, again, wherever the FA place that's going to be in a horrendous position for us. So again, it's going to make it even worse, the schedule. So it's not ideal. But ultimately, we just need to pick up the points and hopefully get into fourth as soon as possible, and then potentially we've got the other 3 in our sights, but it's going to be a tough ask with that amount of points to make up.
What I'll say as well, though, is you guys know, because obviously I'm vocal in a group chat, how massive a big fan of Ralph Rangnick is, how big a fan I am of Ralph Rangnick. I know this style of play is going to come into effect. It's not going to be immediate, but I find this funny, and George, you're going to piss yourself, and I'm not joking. There is genuine Ralph out accounts on Twitter, social media. There's genuine Ralph out, because they're saying, oh, he's playing the same players as Ollie. He's playing, like, I think one of them, I think 2 of them, sorry, is Matic and Mata. But in terms of like, there's people generally moaning about Ryan because he's making the same decisions. I'm like, he's only been in he's been in less than a week and he's already won 3 games. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you freaking cretins! Like calm yourselves. But they're like, oh, he's playing McTominay, he's playing Fred, oh, he's still playing Rashford. He's getting used to his squad. Fuck.
Who else is he meant to use?
Like, the worst thing is, Will, is like there's proper like all the in accounts that are tweeting saying get him out, and I'm like, oh, but we should be criticising Rangnick straight away. No, we shouldn't. Like, that is a brain dead. That's literally brain dead to just blame the guy after 1 game because he's playing the same starting 11. Do you think Rangnick expected the performance against Norwich? No. But are you going to see a reaction if we play Brentford tomorrow? If we play against Brighton at the weekend? 100%. The players that played at the weekend, if they play that same performance again, you can kiss your starting place goodbye. They'll be on the bench.
The four positive names that I've seen from a reliable kind of, I don't know if it is true, but the 4 names that I've seen were Phil Jones, Emmanuel Matic, Juan Mata, and Dean Henderson. They're the 4 names.
So basically, a goalkeeper that doesn't have a chance of starting, a defensive midfielder that's actually good enough to play at centre back, but he's going to get replaced. A number 10 that's not going to get many minutes because he's going to play as a 6 next time he plays in the Champions League, and a centre back that should have been let go in 2011-12 after we signed him. Frankly, the 4 of them, I don't honestly care. Yeah, they got COVID. That's a shame. But they don't actually affect our team. Henderson, we can replace him with Tom Heaton. Phil Jones shouldn't even be in the squad in the first place. Juan Mata, he's going out. He's done. And the Nemanja Matic, he'll appear now and again. He'll just give us a little bit of control. We need to be binning them for 4 proper replacements now.
Phil Jones is meant to be playing for the under-23s on Friday against Chelsea to get a smart sharpness of
Hopefully not.
That'll be an extra 3 points for Chelsea. And then we will move on. So there's 2 more games that is worth talking about. Obviously, Arsenal beating Southampton 3-0. I thought, just very briefly, I'll just make a very brief comment. As I thought Southampton were competitive the first 20 minutes, but the biggest issue for Southampton was they tried to press Arsenal. The press completely didn't work. Arsenal played really good football in between the lines, attacked spaces, scored, and Southampton fell apart from there. That's pretty much how that game went. Though to be fair, Ramsdale made a few good saves, but I think Southampton got what they deserved. So it is going. We'll start off with this Leicester 4, Newcastle 0. George, if you're a team who's in the relegation zone, who you fight for every single point, need to win or at least get a point, and you go to a Leicester City side who are clearly struggling and go and play like lads and be so open and make so many mistakes, I actually think that Joe Linton's going to do a difference for you. You know, this is Newcastle team generally just not bad.
Yeah, just very quickly before I can sort of talk about that, on that game, you obviously did the Arsenal Southampton one. I was just wondering, when I was sort of watching it back, I was thinking to myself, who the hell is this goalkeeper? Who the hell is this Southampton goalkeeper? Especially on obviously the second one, and obviously on the third as well. I was like, oh right, that there's the reason why they've shipped all these goals. Fucking hell, he's another player that should have retired many years ago. Caballero, it's unbelievable. That second one, I've still got no idea how the ball went in. He seemed to almost be in the Matrix, where he'd been he was stopping and he was moving so slowly towards it. And the third one came out and totally got nowhere near the ball as well. Just atrocious goalkeeping. But yeah, obviously Newcastle, I'm still going to maintain that they're going to stay up. They obviously might have to do some investment in January, but I still think Newcastle are going to have enough. It's just they always tend to sort of grind things out as the season goes on. But ultimately, obviously, Leicester did run riot, as you sort of spoke about. Some good finishing, and again some absolutely atrocious defending. Obviously, the first one, I can't remember which defender it was that gave away the penalty. But it was just again, like I said, I hope we're going to talk about the Everton game as well. But lots of brainless defending again from Newcastle on that penalty. Again, I don't want to talk about it. It makes me so angry. But yeah, I obviously, and then quite a good again. Well, it was good interplay from Leicester on the second goal, but at the same time, Newcastle all the defenders standing still like statues, and when you stand still, you're always going to get cut through quite easily. And obviously, Daka sort of trying to do sort of a B-Tech Narnia impression on the goal celebration as well. I thought so. Yeah, but obviously, good result for Leicester. They're sort of climbing up the table steadily now. It's very interesting still. I still don't think there's necessarily it's too identifiable who's going to provide Manchester United's sternest competition for this top four spot, because there's quite a few teams that still are within touching distance, obviously with West Ham, Arsenal as well, because of the fact they've got all these rest days. Spurs as well have obviously got some games in hand as well, and I've got Conte. And of course, Leicester, I think, are not necessarily too far out of it. And also, actually, sorry, the other thing I would just, before we obviously speak to other people, that obviously good play from Kasper Schmeichel as well to prevent an own goal when he was rushing back like Usain Bolt and somehow managed to hook it off with his foot. I thought that was quite amusing, and I was obviously saved. I think it was Castagne, wasn't it? I think saved saved his blushes. That was quite amusing as well. But yeah, good result for Leicester. And like I said, I'm still not discounting Newcastle from getting relegated. I still think it's going to be Watford, Norwich, and someone else. But I'm not. I'll have to wait another couple of months or so before I know who the third team's going to be.
Yeah, Nathan, I'll come to you. I think me and you said it when Eddie Howe got appointed. Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall are not known to have solid defenses. And we're already starting to see that Eddie Howe has zero plans or zero capability to have a team who is defensively solid. And we've seen it at the King Power Stadium, where his game plan was the opposite to what Newcastle should have been doing.
Absolutely. And the thing is, with that, I mean, compare it to his Bournemouth side as well. That Bournemouth team actually had some good defenders in there, but Newcastle, they have been defensively woeful for ages now. And to be honest, we need to see what happens in January before we can judge it. Because that's what we got to remember, is it is in his squad. And honestly, like with that Newcastle defense, unless you're someone like Tony Pulis and constantly park the bus, even then some stuff would get through. I really don't think I don't think anyone will be able to do anything with that squad at all. But going forward, they're superb, minus the midfield, which is just terrible. And then that defense, they need just to clear it all out. Minus Lascelles, he's actually quite good. Get all new players in, which they now have the
and St. Maximin.
Yeah, so Maximin's superb. Joe Willock's superb. Callum Wilson's superb. Joe Linton, shocking. But yeah, good. Got the play, got the structure there. They just need to build around it. And it just needs time for me.
Very quickly, you can please appreciate how bad James Madison's attempt at dive was.
Oh, awful.
We all saw that, and I think he should have been given a straight red for it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sick of players diving. I don't care who you are. If you're diving, you should be given a 10-match ban.
I'm pretty. To answer your question, I'm pretty sure it's 160 million FFP.
80 million. 80
No,
million.
no. It's 160 FFP would have let them use, but I think it's in the range.
They
of
won't
80
spend that amount though. They'll spend
No.
half that. They'll spend about
I-
80.
It's
It's because Ashley hasn't spent over the years, so it's just
Yeah, they've
allowed
got-
the FFP
Yeah,
gap to
no,
just explode.
You get 3 years. You get 3 years free pass anyway. It's what you do in the third year based on revenue as well. But they'll spend like 80 million and they'll bring in shite, and they'll probably get relegated. I mean, they could bring in Anthony Martial. They might survive, but in fact, they'll bring in Jesse Lingard as well because he's the number 10. But I just look at them and I think Newcastle, they've got all the money to spend, but money doesn't save their problems. It's a competent coach, proper defence, and somebody knows what they're doing. Jason Stindl and Eddie Howe couldn't solve a Rubik's Cube, let alone solve this defence. They are fucked. And I honestly, if Newcastle survive, it's going to be a fluke. It'll be a fluke survival. The most expensive relegation would be the absolute funniest thing to troll that lot. Self-entitled fans think their club's big when all they are is just a big oil club now. Well, I wouldn't even call it an oil club, but it's just a big owned club now. They're not even a big club. Their fans think they're entitled to it. They think they're this, they think they're that. They've been irrelevant since the early 2000s when they actually managed to finish in the top 4. So to hell with them. Hope they get relegated, and Sunderland fans can laugh at them about it, even though Sunderland are in League One.
Well, yes, I think FFP allows them to spend 180 million, but obviously they're not going to. The rubber transfer budget they're going to spend between 60 and 80 million. But we've seen how much they screwed up getting Eddie Howe in the first place. So when it comes to trying to negotiate with some agents and players and clubs,
He is just their Mark Hughes. He is the Mark Hughes in Man City, except Mark Hughes actually plays better football and can actually organise a defence, which is quite funny.
The final game we talk about before we get into what was the shit show of the Champions League draw today, it is Crystal Palace and Everton. Crystal Palace beating Everton 3-1, and the pressure on Rafa Benitez from the fans seems to grow, but he has the full support of the backing of the Everton board. George, Everton centre backs, man, they hurt your head. They're not very good.
Yeah, I mean, Everton's entire team is just full of. Yeah, it's full of. I do feel sorry for Rafa Benitez in some ways, because it just must be atrocious to watch some of the lack of professionalism and some of the complacency that Everton have demonstrated again, and were their own worst enemies again against Palace. First of all, Demarai Gray, who has actually sort of been a standout for them, and of course scored, as we know, a wonder goal against Arsenal. Quite a lazy back pass, and obviously didn't even decide to track back on that first one, and then ultimately some absolutely atrocious. I think it was Seamus Coleman, I believe, that was attempted to take a quick on the third one, attempted to take a quick free kick for absolutely no reason, and then and obviously Reece is sort of showing the despicable, horrendous amount of expenditure that Everton have had over the last few years. And ultimately, it's not led to any sort of success, and they are currently plummeting with what we must all admit is quite a capable manager in Benitez. So yeah, very, very poor.
Koeman, managerial genius.
Obviously, just the final thing is just about your I think, because Gallagher's yours, isn't he, Josh? Yes. He's Chelsea Academy. I was quite curious actually as to what age he was, and he's 21. So it's because I was thinking to myself, is he potentially going to be someone that you're going to use, obviously, once he comes back? Because it's going to be quite difficult, I think, for him to get minutes or to get use at Chelsea. But he's certainly done a very good job at Palace, and every time I see Gallagher, obviously I saw him again. I thought he also played very well against us as well. Even though we obviously did dominate that game against Palace, I thought Gallagher did still do very well. So I think he's definitely a very, very good player, and obviously a cracking goal. And then obviously, as Yeti Boys just said, he was just I don't know what Coleman was playing at, but yeah, it must drive. Obviously, I know. I just must drive Everton fans and everyone to do with Everton crazy. And it would be it really would be one of the biggest shocks if they did actually get relegated. But they are now hovering, and they doesn't seem like there's going to be that improvement in form. And the longer they stay down there, the more likely they are to be sucked into that relegation zone and then never come back again. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that match.
Just for everybody who really is interested, Roma took the lead in Serie A, just so everyone knows that Jose Mourinho has won a game. Chris Smalling scored. Oh, the man who generally is probably one of the worst defenders I've ever seen in the Premier League. Before we move on, there was actually one game I totally forgot we have to talk about, and that is Cardiff City. Now, Nathan, if I'm not mistaken, you actually
another post-mortem examination, guys.
You actually missed this game too, because you missed this game because you had to go out.
Yeah, I did a night out, didn't I?
I have to ask you something. All right. Does Steve Morrison's game plan just to go beat down at half time, play like absolute rubbish, then somehow surprise the opponent, come out second half, play like prime Barcelona and get back into the game? Because it seems like every week I'm seeing you guys are 1-0 down, 2-0 down. Next minute you're winning or drawing. What the hell is Cardiff City at the moment?
I wouldn't say it's fully Steve Morrison's fault in that sort of essence. Like, the players just go out there. Morrison sets them up pretty solidly. They put in an absolutely putrid performance. Morrison absolutely murders them at halftime and takes off the players who just can't be bothered. He makes the correct substitutions every week, and then somehow we grind out a draw. But honestly, the thing that we need the most is to get to January as soon as possible. We need to just get rid of the absolute deadwood and the players that are not quite, and a lot of people are going to have a go at me for this, but are not fit to wear the shirt at all. Just get rid of all the deadwood. I know we have no money to spend. Make use of the free transfers and sort of rebuild that way. Because to be honest, there's a lot in there. I mean, we're riding 20th in the table, and if it wasn't for points deductions, we'd be second bottom. Actually, we'd be third bottom right now, which is extremely disgraceful. For the size of the club that we are in the Championship, quite frankly. And honestly, it's going to be a long, long rebuild. But for me, I don't blame Morrison on any of it. I blame half of it, a quarter of it the board, 3/4 of it McCarthy.
But McCarthy, man, I would generally love to know why you guys even bothered hiring him, to be perfectly honest with you.
It was ridiculous.
Do you think he plays a big part in why you guys are where you are at the moment?
Absolutely. I mean, just looking at the summer, the amount of players and the amount of depth we've lost as well. I mean, it goes to show when there's no wingers at the club. He literally sold all the wingers in the summer transfer window or sent them out on loan. Absolutely disgraceful. And then he just sets up at 5 at the back and just knocks all the confidence out of our defenders. And now he just can't defend at all. I mean, how many clean sheets have we had this season? 1. Terrible.
And look at the bright side. Look, Steve Cooper went back to Swansea and gives him a torrid time. So
I've got something to say about this.
Right.
The Swansea are the most confusing fan base in the whole of world football. I mean, you finished 4th or 3rd last season, and yet you still wanted Steve Cooper to leave because you weren't happy about the football. You were playing nice football, but it wasn't pretty enough. You were only getting 60% possession. You weren't getting 80%, and you weren't making enough passes. Then you're angry because you just lose another. Well, you bottle another playoffs. Then you get in some Milton Keynes Dons manager who finished bang average mid-table, getting 80% possession, passing around the back the whole game, playing 1,500 passes, whatever, just not signing anyone of use. And yet, look where you are in the league now. You're currently 16th, losing 3 games in a row, conceding 3-1 and then 4 goals against Nottingham Forest, your former manager. Yet you're absolutely loving life. You're saying it's the best football you've ever seen, that there's a rebuilding process going on, and that you would rather be in a relegation battle in mid-table and watch pretty football around the back than actually play what you need to and be in the playoffs. What is this club?
All I'm gonna say, mate, is it's you said the most confusing fan base. Have you seen the Man United fan base on football Twitter?
Oh,
That can be very confusing. But
it competes with it. That lot down
like,
west. It's
there's so much entertainment, honestly, when it comes to like some of the fan base. Like, I'm gonna say I wish Andrew was here, like, because at least he has, like, even though he can be a bit aggressive with his opinions, at least he gives an honest conversation. I would like to know his thoughts on this.
I know.
But
I mean,
but
I
Jesus
quizzed him
Christ,
on it as
like,
well,
they
and
are
he
so
just
confusing.
refused to answer. Oh, I don't get it. I really do not get it at all, though.
They should have kept. I know it sounds bizarre, but they should have kept Russell Martin.
Oh, I
They
know.
should have. I know it was like playing from the back around 80% possession, but if they're controlling a game and actually trying to win it, at least they're trying to do something. But
And it's Steve
then
Cooper,
again,
yeah.
Russell Martin is not Van Gaal. He can't pull off orny football, but he can certainly pull off controlling 80% possession and not attack a team for 90 minutes.
Exactly.
That's George's favourite style of football.
To answer your question, Doug, I will show you how it went, rather than tell you.
I'm going to do colour commentary. He plays the ball through some unknown player. He plays a through ball on the right hand side of the box. Here comes the opportunity. Shit shot, and he scores. He's called Snoddy. Oh, where's Big Ears?
Yes, no, Glenavon back Korean 1-0. That's Glenavon's three wins on the bounce, 3 clean sheets. That's the first time we get back-to-back clean sheets in the league in 3.5 years.
What?
Yeah.
3.5 years.
Gary Hamilton has a very specific attacking philosophy, which means our defenses aren't never very, very good. So yes,
Are you basically, to say it nicely, are you just the Liverpool of when Klopp took over, just score, but concede anyway, and then score more?
Pretty much, that's pretty much Glenavon. Glenavon have 3 wins on the bounce. We play Glentoran on Friday night at the Oval, so it's gonna be a cold away day. So let's move on to the Champions League draw that took place twice today. No, I'm going to have to be excused because I was in work when this happened. So if I can
explain it for you because I had to live stream it twice.
So basically, the Champions League draw did take place. Manchester United were originally drawn against Villarreal. Which is a technical mistake because Villarreal were in Man United's group, meaning they couldn't play Villarreal. But then they got drawn against Atletico Madrid, but were mistakenly incorrect that they couldn't play Atletico Madrid because they were in the same group, which is wrong because Atletico Madrid were an eligible opponent, which is the opponent Man United eventually got. So the draw had to be null and voided. I mean, the draw took place again at 3:00, which I did see live because I was out of work. And it was before we actually get into the actual draw itself, I have to ask you guys. I'll start with George because George always gives us a perfect analysis of this stuff. How the hell does UEFA screw up such a simple thing they've been doing for years? How does this happen?
George, there's only 3 words you can say here. There's only 3 words to answer this question. You know the answer. Just give them the 3 words.
Well, I'm not sure. It's fucking UEFA. Is that going to be what it is? I mean, ultimately, if it's UEFA, we know that they can screw up through any. The only shock for me is actually that they just decided it was null and void and decided to do a redraw, because I was anticipating some real weaseling, sort of conniving to somehow sort of Harry Houdini escape act to get out of doing the draw again. But ultimately, they were caught sort of on candid camera. And there was millions of people watching who were able to sort of spot that there was definitely a break. But I think, to all intents and purposes, of course, justice did prevail in the end. But what amazes me is I know mistakes happen and you shouldn't necessarily go too overboard about it, but it's just, for me, it's just the lack of professionalism again. Obviously, the millions and millions of pounds that are at stake, obviously, in football, and somehow you get a farce like that. It's unacceptable, really. And the only sort of funnier things were the sort of ways that different teams, for example, obviously Real Madrid contacting UEFA to try and get the draw to stay, so that they got someone.
It happened after we drew Benfica. Our draw But happy appear on both. I had a good laugh as well.
Yeah. Obviously, United had originally got a draw against PSG, so we were definitely not happy about that. Given who we could play.
Can we just say, the cheek of Perez, after trying that Super League stunt, decides he thinks that he turned his back on UEFA. So Perez thinks, best friends with you. I can just rock photo up here, cheer the champion.
The funny thing is, and I don't know where he's getting the idea from, but Florentino Perez didn't blame UEFA. He blamed Manchester United. He blamed us for this. What did we do? It's not our fault that UEFA are fucking stupid.
Nathan, obviously,
we didn't even complain. That's the irony. Man United didn't even complain.
Nathan, as a guy, he doesn't obviously have to deal with UEFA, but maybe it's also a good thing she will be playing in Europe. But what the actual hell? Like, has this ever happened before? Because I tried to do a bit of research and I couldn't find anything in any recent history that this has ever happened before.
I have no idea. Honestly, what idiots are running all this at the moment? It's like, why can't it just go back to the simpler days where you have 2 buckets, you number a load of balls? That sounds weird. You pour them in a bag, then into the tub.
Wait.
You take
Hold on.
Go
back. Go reverse your point. Put the balls in the bin. Yeah. No numbers. Because I've already seen Rod Stewart deliberately screw up a tie before. So let's just do it. Let's just do it that way, or do what Owen suggested on Doug Streamer, which is fucking classic. No, he suggested you just inject meerkats with pure amphetamine and make them in a race, and whichever order they finish in, that's the draws. It's the best. It's the best ever. But continue. But I was just suggesting others.
But at this point, I don't know which one's worse, honestly, EFL or the UEFA. You just can't escape it in football. But yeah, they need to go back to simpler days because you can tell it's rigged. You can tell they do this weird computer system and all that, and that there's some dodgy dealings going around with it. But honestly, all this nonsense is just going to keep happening now. Like, referees, you have the Super League nonsense, you have you have all these dodgy things happening, and it's happened again with a draw. And just go back to basics, honestly.
Just hello, Macy. Thank you for tuning in. Now, can I just say, this is the thing that really annoyed me. They had the dignity, all right, after already screwing up the draw once. Not only did they do the draw another time, we had to listen to them ramble on about all the teams in the Champions League. Like, lads, you screwed up the draw. We don't want to listen to you talk for another 15 minutes about a bunch of rubbish. Like, it's the cheek of you. The guy rocks up thinking, we get to talk about the 16 teams in the Champions League. I hate this guy. Anyway,
it's like you're buzzing, lads. Like, we get to chat shit again.
Right, very, very quickly, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the groups. We're going to basically see what our predictions were for them, and we'll get into the actual draw. So I'm interested to see where everybody had the predictions because I generally cannot remember. And boy, am I not going back and try and find out. So first of all, Group A, did everybody have Manchester City top, or did anybody think
I had Man City top, PSG second?
I had Man City top, George.
It was all. I got all 4 right on that one. I got some other ones were wrong, but that was the group I got all right.
Yeah, I got that one spot on.
I actually thought Club Brugge actually did better than I thought they were going to do. To be fair, they were more competitive. But the thing is, they just conceded a couple too many goals. RB Leipzig were just a mess under Jesse March. That
just did not work out at all.
Group B, I had Liverpool top, but I had AC Milan second, and I was just Porto fourth. I was incredibly disappointed by AC Milan, but their eggs from day one have been an honest experience. They've been going for the Italian league. Anybody have Atletico Madrid top or Atletico Madrid bottom or anything?
I think I had Atleti second, and then Milan third. So quite unlucky on that one.
I had your order in reverse. I had Liverpool, Milan, Atleti, Porto.
Oh, interesting.
So mine was the same as Nathan. So it was Liverpool, Atleti, Milan, then Porto. So obviously the final 2 were just wrong.
Let's be fair, Atletico Madrid are lucky to be second in that group. They were awful in that group stage. They were diabolically bad, and they still. It's
shockingly bad. It really surprised me.
It's classic Simeone, though. No matter how bad they are, they still somehow, in some way, scramble their way into it. Anyway,
I think it's just he knows what he's doing. He's one of those managers like he just knows his style of play inside out, and he knows when to turn it on. something Gareth Southgate wish he could do. He knows when to turn on the performance, and they play really good football. We saw it last season where they played great football and they were entertaining. And then when they really have to go proper shithouse, they do it. Except this season, a lot of the shithouse backfired, and it came back to bite them in the ass. Just like last night, it bit them in the ass when they got beaten the derby. In fact, they didn't get beaten the derby; they got diddled. They were lucky it was 2-0 last night.
Josh, we should also just very quickly, say on Atletico Madrid, very quick point is that they were, obviously when they played at home against Liverpool, they were quite unlucky in that match because actually there was a sign they were going to win it. And then obviously a moment of horrendous fortune. Obviously Griezmann looking over his shoulder and not paying attention. Obviously I think it was Firmino, wasn't it? I think he kicked in high up and got himself sent off when they looked like they were going to win that. So, but again, obviously, fingers crossed that stays the same. Obviously, when we play them, they're going to get some more red cards.
In terms of Group C, everybody probably had Ajax top. I don't see anybody having any difference to that. Yeah,
I had Ajax I've got Ajax to go to the semi-finals.
Yeah, I actually, believe it or not, I had Dortmund top, then Ajax second with Sporting third. So completely messed that one up.
I think it was Ajax Dortmund. I had Sporting third. I think.
Nobody had Dortmund finishing third, did they? I'm assuming nobody had Dortmund finishing third.
I thought they'd be too good to go through. I was genuinely surprised.
Erling Haaland got injured and they were fucked. That was pretty much what happened.
Now I've got to watch him play against Rangers.
And Marco Reus, I don't know if he's. I haven't really made my mind up about him as a Dortmund coach yet, but I don't think he's doing as well. Can we just say, look, poor Besiktas, 0 wins, 0 draws, 6 losses, 19 goals conceded.
What a shit team.
Poor guys.
Istanbul. At least Istanbul know how to win a game.
It comes to Group D. Everybody probably had Real Madrid top, and did anybody have Shakhtar second?
I had Real Madrid. I had Real, Inter, Shakhtar, Sheriff.
Sheriff are actually in the Europa League somehow. Shakhtar didn't win a game in the group stage, which is unlike Shakhtar. Normally they're competitive and can we just say that the Irish guy summed up the Shakhtar Donetsk coach as the hipster guy, which is something Nathan likes to use a lot.
Yeah, he's a Brighton representative. He's the next Brighton manager.
Group B, everybody, no one had Bayern not finishing top. I like to think everybody had Bayern finishing top.
I got that group nailed on, by the way. I had that group nailed. I said Barcelona were not getting out that group, and like in terms of like not getting through the next round. I had them getting Europa League. I had Benfica second with Bayern.
Everybody's in agreement with that. Group F, I had Man United and Real top.
I didn't.
I had Atlanta. I was disappointed.
Can we just say though,
Villarreal, Atalanta, Man United.
If Young Boys did beat Manchester United at Old Trafford, Young Boys would have went into the Europa League, and Atalanta would have been out completely. Young Boys just somehow couldn't beat Man United under 23 somehow. I know it was at Old Trafford, but come on, Group G, I did not have Seville finishing third. I was surprised at that. Wolfsburg too, massively disappointing.
I think Doug might be able to check back and correct me, but I think I had Wolfsburg to win the group. Salzburg second. I had Sevilla to finish third. I had Lille to finish fourth. Lille were just shit. And they proved me right.
Yeah, somehow they were really good in the Champions League.
Somehow they won that. Somehow they got through, which shocked me to the core.
And then Chelsea's group, I think everybody had at least Chelsea or Juventus top two. I don't think no one had Mambo.
No.
I was quite surprised actually because I thought Chelsea would win that group. Josh, I think you guys really did slip up there, and unfortunately, obviously, UEFA had plans of. Unfortunately for you guys, UEFA had plans to definitely have you draw Lille, the one team you definitely wanted to draw in that second round.
Right, so let's have a look at some. No, it's too early to do proper predictions for these games, but we can at least give it a quick, a decent eye over and what we kind of suspect. So, I'm going to start off with the most obvious game. Is there any way Salzburg pull off an upset against Bayern Munich in any shape?
No.
No.
As good as Adeyemi, Branson, Sekor, Sevald, and Kamara are, they're coming up a team that's actually now playing Nagelsmann's style of football. So, in the nicest respect to Salzburg, grab a gravestone, find 11 coffins because you are going to be resting in peace.
On to a game that's a bit harder called Benfica Ajax.
Ajax to dismantle them.
these are two very evenly matched teams, very good squads. No, I think it is. Look at
Are
the
you
Benfica.
smoking drugs?
Look at the Benfica squad. They've got
Nah,
experience
nah.
all over, Champions League experience. Ajax under Ten Hag. I think it's
Nah.
gonna be a closer game than most people think.
I'm not having that, man. Nah, they battered Barca because Barca are pish. But come on, this is the team that actually dismantled their entire group, inch and inch by inch. You already saw what they did to Sporting twice, and Sporting just battered Benfica in the league. Benfica don't have a chance. This is worse than you saying Brentford are getting relegated. This is worse.
Nah, I think Benfica is gonna be. I think Benfica is gonna be a very.
I think it will be. I think obviously I'm definitely going to say that Ajax will go through because I think that's just that just definitely will happen. Pound to a penny though, there is obviously, even though I'm quite sure in my head already of which 8 teams I think are going through. Pound to a penny, there's definitely going to be at least 1 or 2 shocks because there always just tends to be. But I think Ajax is definitely going through, and I think the game might be just closer than it would be. Obviously, I think the Salzburg Bayern will be slightly less close just because Bayern are just imperious and will no doubt.
Doug, thank you. Doug, well done, mate. Spot on.
But I still think Ajax will go through.
I stick to what I said about Benfica. I look at that Benfica squad and they can test Ajax, in certain positions on the pitch.
My shits can do damage to Benfica. Benfica don't stand a chance.
Listen. We'll speak come the end of March when the second.
This is the best coach side in world football. This is the best coach side, and you're honestly telling me Benfica stand a chance?
We haven't got to Man United yet.
I'm not saying
we're Man United aren't at that stage yet. We're not there yet.
I'm not going to say that I'm not saying Benfica are going to. I'm just saying they're going to be competitive. It's going to be a close game. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But we will come. I will make my proper prediction when we get to the start of February when the games are about to be played. Okay. Does Sporting Lisbon have any chance of knocking out Pep Guardiola City?
No.
They'll see if you want to look at teams that can actually cause a problem, it's Sporting. They've only lost 6 games in 80 matches under their current manager. They'll actually cause a problem. Benfica won't to Ajax. I just look at the way Sporting plays. It's sort of what Guardiola doesn't like. It's a team that will just disrupt them and cause problems. But I think the difference is, I think a little bit too late. But 5 years too late, Guardiola is finally learning his lessons. We'll see if he does, because he's not got away goals this time to protect them. I think what you're going to see this time is Sporting can cause a major problem. I don't think they're going to beat them. But if you actually want to look at a closer contest, it's this one. Not Benfica.
Chelsea taking on Lille, who are 13th place in the French league, and Chelsea somehow did draw them in the second go. There's no way Chelsea
somehow Chelsea bottled the group.
Chelsea will win that.
Chelsea are definitely going to go through.
Bottled the group, but they'll go through. Chelsea will get quarterfinals and they'll get eliminated.
All right, so let's get into the ties, which are probably as evenly matched as you can get. We'll start with PSG and Real Madrid. Carlo Ancelotti's got Real Madrid firing quite well, I think.
Yeah, Real Madrid.
Point gap, top of the league.
Neymar will be doing his impression of incest, and Mbappe will be doing his impression of scoring own goals for his future club, and Messi will just be walking about the pitch. Real Madrid are going to batter them.
I think for PSG they need Verratti. I think that the only way that PSG have a chance is if Verratti's playing, because when Verratti plays, they look far better, and I think he's the key. If Verratti's playing, they'll have a chance. But obviously, I do expect at this juncture Real Madrid to go through, and obviously, I think you're quite wise to wait, Josh, for another couple of months, because obviously things can change in terms of like injuries and like form and stuff like that in that time. Obviously, you would know that very well. Obviously, from last year, obviously under Lampard one moment, and then under Tuchel by the time things started again. So, but yeah, I do expect Real Madrid to go through, because unless, like I said, Verratti's key, but also if PSG sacked Pochettino and got in Zidane, that would also make it much closer, I think.
That would be funny.
Anything's possible in football, but I like to think. Yeah, I like to think we should beat them.
Anything's possible. This is the guy that said the best thing for Chelsea was not winning their Champions League group.
Well, yes, because we've got Lils.
It's turned out right, hasn't it?
I guarantee this is where it's going. This is where
we-
Chelsea's luck's about to run out after this tie. This is it, because you're going to get Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals, and Bayern Munich are going to be sending you home.
I said it all along that I did not matter if we finished top of our group, because otherwise we would be playing Unai Emery's Real, which would have been a dodgy one. But Inter Milan, they're doing very well in Serie A, but there's no way they give Liverpool. Well, I think they'll give Liverpool a really good game, but I think at Anfield Liverpool will be too much for them.
Absolutely.
Inter Milan are a good side, but if you look at like their team, they're slow. There's not much pace in it. I just don't really see how that team could compete with Liverpool over two legs. Maybe at the San Siro they'll get a draw, maybe they can win, but not at Anfield. I don't know. And plus, Sarri, his record in Europe's not very good. I don't think he got out of his Europa League group when he had Celtic and some other team in it. Rennes. So that was a Celtic and Rennes. He finished bottom of that group in the Europa League.
I think Inzaghi will do all right with this team, though. I look at what he's done so far. He's actually got them to top of the league now. Like, I do see a change for Inter. It's just how they're going to do it. He needs to get Barella back on form. He has not been good for about 6 weeks. 6-7 weeks he has not been good. Gecko has been a better signing for them than Luka Kardashian. I just look at altogether, I don't see Inter progressing, but I do see Inter giving Liverpool problems. But I just look at the quality of Liverpool and the way they're playing right now. They're going to cause they're just going to destroy Inter Milan if Milan don't defend well. There's some good players in that Inter Milan team, but I just look at that Liverpool team and the way they're playing right now. It disgusts me how good they are. Put it that way, it disgusts me.
It could change. Obviously, it is a couple of months away, so hopefully Liverpool wouldn't have been a bad vein of form at that juncture. But I still obviously agree with Doug. I think they'll beat them both home and away. I think that as it stands currently, again, like I said, things can change, and I may look at it differently when the games are about to be played because it's such a long time away. But as it stands currently, obviously Salah's in an amazing vein of form. I think Inter's only sort of way out will be hoping that all the chances fall to Jota, so that he can miss them, and then they can
Dzeko's got a good record against. I think Dzeko's got a good record against Liverpool though, so that'll be a benefit. He does. I'm pretty sure he does have a very good record at scoring against Liverpool, so that'll give Inter a little bit of opportunity. But the only thing is, they need to hope their defence is on it from day dot. Handanovic is a great goalkeeper, but he always has to do what's in front of him. He's got a decent back three: Bastoni, Skriniar, Van der Vrij. But it's not enough. It's really they've got to keep their defence on it from day dot, because if they don't, they'll get punished.
And then so two more games. Now this game is definitely a game that's pretty much impossible to call now, and that's Serie A and Juventus. Both teams in terms of league form is pretty much awful. So this game is impossible to call. But do we see this tie being a close one? I know it's very early to call because both these.
I think Villarreal will be happy.
But
I think Juventus are definitely going through. I mean, obviously Villarreal. When we played, obviously, them a couple of times, I felt like obviously they did score quite a few against Atalanta, but obviously I feel like against us in both of those games they were very wasteful, very good, obviously quite a good passing side as you sort of expect with lots of Spanish sides, but ultimately lack of cutting edge and attacking threat, and I think that's probably where Juventus will slightly have the edge. So I do think obviously Doug's gone for Villarreal, but I do think Juventus will go through.
I think Juventus have no other option but to go through, because they've been very underwhelming. They need to have a good European campaign to attract some decent players, even though they're 800 million quid in debt. They've got a lot to deal with. Allegri has not been the shining wizard they needed after all. He's not done enough. People are going to say, oh, he's a great manager, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, he's a great manager, but by means he is managing this team worse than Pirlo did. Like Pirlo was actually, I know it wasn't great, but at least Pirlo was actually getting good results. Allegri isn't getting good results, and the game of the weekend was appalling. I just look at them now and I think, I expect Juventus to go through because of their history and their European pedigree. But Villarreal just need to nick a goal and go compact. They can cause problems, but it's just the level of quality Juventus have. Juventus have that quality in there, like Dybala. That can be a deciding factor. It's just that Villarreal right now are actually finally starting to score goals, which was a problem. If Villarreal get a goal or two, even in the first leg in Italy, they can cause some major problems. I think Villarreal could go through, but I'm going with Juventus.
And the final game, Simeone versus Ralph Rangnick, two very opposite styles of football going at it here. Again, far too early to tell because Rangnick's in his early stages of his tenure, and Simeone, even though Atletico Madrid are struggling at the moment in performances, they lost 3-0 to Real Madrid, I think it was
2-0 Real Madrid, yeah.
Last night, and Atletico Madrid were okay, but they still were not the classic Madrid that you know of. So too early to call, but George, I'll ask you this rather than ask you to predict the result. Would you have preferred Paris Saint-Germain, or would you rather have Simeone's Atletico Madrid?
For me, obviously Reece will probably disagree, but for me, I'd prefer to have Atletico Madrid, just simply because I feel like with PSG, obviously I've mentioned Verratti, and I think obviously again it would depend. I think PSG always have those weapons to hurt you, and I think obviously Atletico do have weapons, but they're not necessarily as explosive as what PSG have to offer. I think that PSG can beat anyone on their day, and I don't necessarily think that obviously the same truly holds for Atletico Madrid. I think PSG have got lots of stars in their ranks, but I think Atletico sometimes, I think in recent years anyway, they did very well obviously under Simeone, sort of the mid 2010s in Europe, but I think recently they've not necessarily been too good. And of course, I sort of coming back to a point I made just prior to this show starting, Cristiano Ronaldo is sort of their worst enemy. He's got, in terms of his scoring record and against Atletico Madrid, it's
35 games, 25 goals, 9 assists.
It's quite phenomenal, and obviously he carried an absolutely atrocious Juventus side a few years ago against Atletico Madrid as well. So I think all for all intents and purposes, I definitely would prefer to play Atletico Madrid over PSG. Although what I would say is that Atletico Madrid weren't my preferred opponents, because obviously I think there were 3 other teams that at least that we could have I would have preferred to have faced in terms of easiness. But I would say overall for me Atletico Madrid is slightly better, because I feel like as well, I know that Rangnick sort of has a very sort of, I think he's going to try and get us to play a very similar sort of style to Liverpool's in terms of sort of high press and so forth. And I think although Liverpool had a few issues against Atletico Madrid before some sending offs, I feel like they still got joy against them. And I feel like by that time we'll have a really good system in place to do exactly the same. So, I'd rather have had Atletico Madrid. But again, just to have that massive caveat again, is far too early to call, because we don't know what will happen in the next couple of months.
Nathan,
I agree with him.
So Nathan, we're going to move on to just 2 other ties we're going to speak about that are noticeable. Are Barcelona going to lose to Napoli? Napoli doing well in Serie A. Again, things can change. But Xavi's Barcelona, I think it's 2 wins and 6 for Xavi or Barcelona at the moment. I think they conceded a late goal to Ospina, pronounced the name, in a 2-year draw. Again, too early to call, but as things stand, you look at that and you think you probably can get a worse game if you were Barcelona.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, to be honest, I do rate Napoli and the way they have been playing recently, and just Barcelona. It is a rebuild. They're going to need time, and for me, they need to focus on the league, because they're not even going to be getting into Europe at this rate with the way that they're going. So what I do is I take an early exit now, sort of try but don't try against Napoli, if you know what I mean. Get out of Europe early and then push to make sure that you get into those European places next season. Now is really not the time that they need to be in Europe for me.
Spot.
Too many problems with that club.
And then Reece, finishing with you, Rangers taking a trip to Dortmund. Do you think Rangers have any chance? And this is more, even though again too early to call, but this is one of these games where you look and think, do Rangers generally have a chance of competing against Dortmund? Because Dortmund haven't been great this year, and they are known to slip up when things get when they're favourites. But do you think maybe it's a bit of too much of a big task for the Glasgow side?
I think I was alluding to it earlier on, because I was arguing with a Chelsea fan on Twitter earlier on who just wouldn't get what I was talking about. I said that Dortmund are a very good side. but when they press high, just like how United are going to be, at times, if you break on a team that press high up the pitch with a high defensive line, you break at them in the right way with quick players, you're going to cause damage if they can take their chances. Since Van Bronckhorst has come in, Rangers have actually been dominating games very well. At least 70% possession every single game they've actually played under him. Obviously, that's going to change against Dortmund. Dortmund are going to have more of the ball. I'm not going to say Rangers are going to beat Dortmund. I'm not. I hope they do, but I don't think they will. Rangers just need to take their opportunities if they're going to get them. It's going to be very limited. You're maybe going to get 5 or 6 shots a game. You're maybe going to get 1 or 2 chances. You've got to take them. But I just look at that. I just look at the Dortmund team, and I think Dortmund realistically should have this game wrapped up in Germany. It should be wrapped up in Germany, but Rangers can cause problems. I find it funny that people are dismissing Rangers, but look at the teams Rangers have played in Europe in the past couple of years. They've actually went toe-to-toe against some very top European sides. And they've not just beaten them, they've played them off the park. Could they cause Dortmund problems? Yes. Do I think they'll go through? No. I hope they do. But you would expect Dortmund to win this one. But I find it funny that people have just went Rangers are going to get absolutely battered. They won't. Because people were saying that about Leverkusen. Leverkusen barely beat them in the knockout stages last season. The season before that. Last season, obviously, it was Slavia Prague, which was very close. I think it's a bit stupid to just dismiss Rangers straight away. I think they can cause problems, but Dortmund should go through.
Just to ask, does anybody know what's happening regarding Spurs in the Conference League? I know their game against Rennes is not being played at all. So is Spurs going free, or do they finish?
No, Vitesse's actually been given the progression. Vitesse have gone through, apparently.
I don't think it's been anything. There's nothing been confirmed yet.
They've done that in the conference draw earlier on this afternoon.
No, because on my screen it still says Rapid Fiesta.
Are they going to play the game? Because when they were talking about it, they just said, Vitesse are just going to go through. I assume it's because Spurs just cannot play the games because of COVID and all that.
Yeah, they're going to forfeit it, I've heard.
Yeah, it says on my screen that Rapid Fiesta's opponent still to be determined. So Spurs haven't officially.
I think Spurs' best decision, with all due respect, I know it's Europe and it's a chance to win a trophy and it's a nice looking trophy. I think for Spurs' benefit, if they really want to play it smart, just forfeit. They've not got the players to do it.
Reece, I'll ask you, Celtic against that team that hammered Jose Mourinho's Roma, do you think Celtic will beat them?
I honestly have no idea who this team is. Bloody Gump or whatever they're called. Bloody crap, probably. I've got no idea what they're like. I hope Celtic get eliminated. It would make my day. But I think just Celtic, in the minute they're playing some very decent football under Postecoglou, I think you'd expect Celtic to progress that one. I actually have no idea what this team's like that they're up against, so I can't comment. I've got no idea, but I think Celtic will probably go through.
The match has to be played within 3. I'm also not too sure what's going on with that Spurs thing. It's a very unclear situation, but we'll find out. And then Leicester are playing a team from the Denmark League. I think we'll all expect Leicester to win that game. I don't think
they should do.
Can't see them bottling that. So that brings the end of all the football talk. So the Champions League draw, which was a shit show. I can't believe that happened. We'll probably never see that again in our lifetime. But
probably next season.
I said this is the final podcast. This will be the final big podcast that I will have on my channel before Christmas. Other than me and Reece's predictions, this will be the last big one. So I want to end on a Christmas note. So I've got a couple of Christmas questions for all of you. I want people to get involved in the chat so we can relax now. So the first one, I said these are common questions, but I generally don't know any of this about you guys or anyone in the chat, so I would be generally interested to hear. So first of all, what is your favourite Christmas song of all time? Nathan, let's go. What's your favourite Christmas song?
Right. I'm from Barry, so for me it's got to be Fairy Tale of New York, just because of Gavin and Stacey a few years ago.
That's a great fair. So I was actually listening to that song before I came on the stream. George, what's your favourite song?
Driving Home for Christmas, Chris Rea.
Never heard of it, to be fair.
That's being played in the car on the way home from work on the last day.
I've never heard of it, actually, to be fair. Reece, what's your favourite?
Sorry, lads. I don't like any Christmas songs.
Right, okay. Thanks, Reece. See you later.
Sorry, lads. I just don't. I think if I had to choose, though, I know it sounds cliche, but I'd probably either go Fair to New York or I'd probably go for Slade. But in all honesty, I just don't give a shit about Christmas music. I prefer real music.
What's your favorite song in general? Then?
Favorite song in general? It's always going to be Bohemian Rhapsody. It's the best song ever made.
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody is the best song ever produced. If anyone argues that, you can go to hell.
Nathan, favorite Christmas movie?
Oh gosh.
Nathan's favorite Christmas film is How to Grow Tall.
Yeah, that's true.
Just kidding.
I am 5'10", you know. I'm not that small.
That's good. I thought you were smaller than that.
Nah, 5'10".
Favorite Christmas movie, Nathan?
Don't know. There's some good ones.
Die Hard.
That's not a Christmas film. No, we're not having that.
Oh, don't get BBL involved on that. He is passionately says that is a...
Die Hard is an elite film, but it's not a Christmas film. Although some people think Armageddon's a Christmas film. Like in what universe?
To be fair, I do like Gremlins.
Mm.
It's all right.
George?
Love Actually.
I don't like George. You're saying things I've never heard of. Can't really relate. Reece?
Well, I'm gonna pretend I didn't. Really? Love Actually.
No.
That's caught me by surprise. That has literally caught me by surprise. Respect. My favorite Christmas movie. I think maybe Miracle on 34th Street. I think that's a very good film.
That's really good.
Then again, I'm not a Christmas fan in general. I hate Christmas.
Hi, Ankin. I was watching your stream earlier on today. It was a really good stream. Enjoy. I wasn't talking in the chat because I was currently editing at the time, but I wasn't a stream very good. Reece, sorry, maybe for the second year wasn't a kick for United.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So the next one, which is it's not too Christmas exactly, but it's in terms of football, it's one of the most important and funnest days of the football year. What is your most memorable Boxing Day fixture game, Nathan?
I don't have one because we have never actually won on Boxing Day in my lifetime.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Okay, George, your favorite Boxing Day moment as a Man United fan?
Off the top of my head, let me just go back in my photographic memory to remember this. Which matches we played on Boxing Day? I have absolutely no idea. I mean, to be honest with you, just very quickly when Google sort of came up, obviously we've got the best Boxing Day records. There've been plenty of, and I know myself. Obviously, there have been plenty of wins. So any one of those really. There's not necessarily one that I think really strikes out as one. But it's always good to sort of have a bit of football because you're feeling a bit sort of Christmas is sort of gone, and Boxing Day you always want to see a good match as well. So, but yeah, there's not really a match off the top of my head that I can really sort of point to and go, oh yeah, that was a really brilliant Boxing Day match.
Reece, do you have any in your head? I can see you're probably looking too.
Manchester United 5, Wigan 0, Manchester United 4, Newcastle 3. There you go. Back-to-back seasons.
Next one, Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2? Which one's
Home
better?
Alone 1.
Oh, easy. Home Alone 1.
Home Alone 1, because we don't have to suffer Donald Trump's stupid, ugly mug.
George, you're going to disagree. We disagreed all night with everything, aren't you? So...
No, it is one for me as well.
It is number one. Okay. Next, what was your most favorite? What in all your lifetimes, I know ages vary between us. Nathan, what is the one Christmas present you received so far in your lifetime that will always be memorable in your head?
I don't actually have a clue, to be honest. I've got to go back all these years, only because it was like, you probably laugh at it now because it's not really relevant now, but back then, my goodness, they were relevant. Probably the original Nintendo Wii, all those years ago.
I don't know.
That Christmas it came out in 2006, or whenever it was.
Correct.
Reece, what were you?
You was right.
I would say maybe my PS5 is because it would have been a great Christmas present, but it wasn't. I would say my favorite Christmas present was probably my PS3, but this year I'll probably eclipse that because I'm getting a Huawei GT watch for Christmas this year, so that'll probably be my favorite. But yeah, I'd have to say the PS3. But I've had pretty much a console every year for Christmas anyway, so it doesn't really bother me.
Without exposing you, George, you're probably already oldest on the panel, so I don't know how well your memory goes back.
He's younger than me.
I'm not younger than you, Reece.
No way, you're older than me. No way.
I'm not gonna say what, but I think for me, it's. Josh knows, don't you?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
How old are you?
So for me, I think it's quite difficult to sort of say, but it was probably like my first bike, obviously, which was a Christmas present as well. So that's probably for me, that's probably what it's going to be.
All right, so I got next one is your favorite. Now, obviously, you could consider the obvious one, but I know some people have different variations. Your favorite Christmas meal, if it is your Christmas dinner, or if it's a particular breakfast you have, or is it a particular dessert you have, or Nathan, what would be your favorite Christmas meal?
It's got to be Christmas dinner, lads, hasn't it?
To be fair, not everybody has Christmas dinner. There's some people who would have pulled pork, pork loin. Some people like the sticky toffee pudding. Some people prefer Christmas pudding. I could go
Some
on
cultures prefer KFC.
So KFC isn't open on Christmas Day.
In Japan, it is.
No, Japan.
It's the most popular. It's the most popular Christmas meal in Japan. KFC.
Reece, what's your favorite Christmas meal?
100%. A proper roast Christmas dinner, like proper done. Like doesn't matter what it is every year. It's always properly good.
George is he's gonna come with some Chinese meal or something.
He's gonna be all pedantic. He's like Jack Grealish. He's like Jack Grealish. He's gonna be pedantic.
I was just looking up to see when White Maltesers were first released because it was quite funny. I think I remember one Christmas in particular having almost sick over how many White Maltesers I had. So that's probably, but they were absolutely delicious, and that was whichever year they first came out. So.
No, that's fair enough. So, and the final question is again, this is not exactly related to Christmas, but I think it's still a question I'd like to ask everyone because I always like to hear that. What is going to be your New Year's resolution, Nathan?
The obvious one: go to more Cardiff games.
Do you not go to enough Cardiff games as it is?
No, I've missed. How many games have I missed this season? 2 seconds.
Ask your dad. He'll tell you.
Yeah, he will.
You missed pretty much every game, son.
I know. Right, where is it? Oh, go away, adverts. Right, I have missed a grand total of 1, 2, 3. Oh no.
It keeps getting bigger. It's not going to stop. Keep going.
I've only missed 7.
Not
Not
that
bad, but not good.
Reece, what's your New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution. I'd say go to Old Trafford, but that's not really a New Year's resolution. That's a guarantee. I think my New Year's resolution is just to appreciate life more. Probably appreciate life more after what's going on lately in my life past month. I would have to say appreciate life more.
100%.
And George, what's yours?
And hate City fans a lot, and Liverpool fans and Leeds fans a lot more than I do.
I was waiting for that.
And Celtic fans, obviously.
For me, it's probably going to be to go to the gym more and sort of work on my different weights and stuff and all my personal goals. So yeah.
Well, George is just taking words out of my mouth because that's literally what mine is. Mine is to go to the gym, get more physically healthy, mentally healthy, and try and do more on YouTube. Because I think the last year and a half has been obviously unfortunately, as much as I want to sit here and say it's been a tough year and a half with COVID, obviously this new variant's coming and we don't know what the governments are all going to do. So I think, for the likes of you, Nathan, especially your government, God knows Jeff could shut down the country again and stop fans going to games. So you have to enjoy it while you can.
I feel it's coming because of some of the absolute nonsense he's been coming out with recently.
It's the same with England. I think we'll see full fans to stadiums in England at least for much longer. I do feel like even if it's only for a month or two, like I know Germany have only done it for a month. The Dutch have only done it for 2 to 3 weeks. I do feel like it's going to happen here in Northern Ireland. I'm pretty sure too. But we just have
It'll be the same back here. It'll be the same back here in Scotland. The worst thing is it's not it's the decisions that's made. But the worst thing is I'm Scottish, Nathan's Welsh, and we're having our decisions in our lives orchestrated by an Englishman.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And I don't mind being told what to do by an Englishman, right? It's just the fact is it's an Englishman that generally knows fuck all what he's doing. If it was somebody that actually knew what they were doing, somebody was competent, I'd listen. But every time Boris Johnson speaks, I literally think, whose wife have you been cheating with next? Like, because he honestly gives me no confidence about where we're going. Like, Boris Johnson literally does not have a clue what he's doing, and I'm not surprised. He runs a country like how he plays football. Shite.
So everybody, that brings the end of the Josh podcast here tonight. For the World of Football podcast, will be back on Doug's channel next week. I'm Josh and Doug's on the channel anymore, but I think that next week's show is the final show until the new year. I'm pretty sure what Doug has told us this. So
we should do a quiz. We should do a big Christmas. We should do a big Christmas quiz. I will actually be the quiz master this time.
So if everybody's interested, next week will be the last one till the new year, and it'll be an interesting one. We'll see what Doug has up his sleeve if he has anything interesting. So
come on, Doug, let me be quiz master.
I'll do what I usually do. I'll go around the panel one more time for you all to say your goodbye, your wise words. So Nathan, starting with you, anything you want to say or shout out or anything.
Drake for doubt. So my channel link in the description below.
Just short and simple, George.
I thought you were going to go to Reece next. I was preparing my little speech. Yeah, I think for everyone, obviously, again with this Omicron variant, ultimately we're taking precautionary measures because no one quite knows how it's going to what's happening. There's not enough data or reports to know. But so my message to everyone is sort of stay safe and make sure that you stay healthy as well. Wishing everyone the best for. Obviously, this is going to be the last one on your channel, Josh. The best for Christmas and for New Year, and may Manchester United have a very successful season in the end.
Oh, Reece.
My words of wisdom is be safe, be happy, be Jack Grealish, be invisible, and just enjoy yourselves. And if I didn't see you beforehand, have a good Christmas. If you're a wanker, then I didn't give a fuck. But to these guys, obviously, they've been good to me for well over a year. Nathan, unfortunately, supports Cardiff. Josh is a delusional Chelsea fan. But we have good laughs. We have good banter. That's what a group does. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what show I'm on. It's always my show. Just kidding. But at the end of the day, it's been a good laugh. Good live chat interaction again. And we generally don't care about our own personal time. We enjoy giving up our personal time for you guys because it's always good interaction with us. And we thoroughly enjoy it. We're not I would say the most craziest a bunch, but we certainly enjoy entertaining people by talking about football. So we are glad for entertaining you guys.
That's a good way to end it. So everyone, thank you very much for joining the Josh and Reece podcast tonight. We'll be back on the World of Football podcast tonight. Tomorrow, in terms of what's happening on this channel, so tomorrow is Tuesday. I will be recording my preview for Everton, who we play on Thursday night, barring all goes to plan. That will be out on Wednesday. Then me and Reece will have our Premier League predictions for the weekend's game on Thursday night. This, unfortunately, with Reece working and me working, covering the midweek games is a bit difficult, just with the way the schedule falls, unfortunately. So me and him
working
will be
home
back.
Wednesday. I'm back working Wednesday and I'm off Thursday. We'll sort something. I've got a stream on Thursday. I'll need to check the time and I'll get you up to date.
So me and Reece will be on Thursday, and then I have my NFL podcast on Friday, which I started last week, and then we'll be back all again next week. So loads of content to come, and I said, and then I think come next Friday, Christmas Eve, I will be off work for 10 days, and I'm probably just going to see for all of us and enjoy all the football and between. So if you guys enjoy, like the video, share the channel, check everyone out, to check all the Twitters or the YouTubes in the description below of the guys that are on screen. And I'm going to go to bed. I get up early to do more Christmas cakes and shortbread and work. Yay! Thank everyone for watching.
And to quote Gary Neville, entertain you.
All right, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you again on Wednesday.
Ciao.